It was through my visiting the many various churches that I was able to listen to the common difficulties that people faced. It was during my first year of preaching that I met Stephen Royce at Eaton Bray Chapel in Edlesborough. His parents were members of Watford Stricton Particular Baptist Church, and he was very keen to hear the things of God. At that time, he and his wife were attending the Bethel Stricton Particular Baptist Church along with his wife and children. It soon became apparent he had believed and trusted in the Lord Jesus Christ for salvation, and I encouraged him to join the church that he was attending. Unfortunately for him, he was presented with a problem because he found the wording of the Gospel Standard added articles inaccurate at best and wished to come to terms with their meaning. He had been brought up at the Watford Strict Baptist Church where Mr. James Hill was pastor, but he had moved to Luton, Ebenezer, and Mr. Sayers Sr. was the new pastor at Watford, and his son, Howard Sayers, was a minister sent by the Watford Church. At that time, Howard Sayers made it clear that he did not accept the added articles of the Gospel Standard. That, of course, was no help to Stephen Royce or his father. I've already mentioned the problem that I had with the two added articles of our Bearton Church. Those two had been added sometime in the past that went beyond those written in the original church trust deed. Also, our church at Bearton became a Gospel Standard Church on the 16th of January 1981, when we adopted the 35 Gospel Standard Articles of Religion and were then governed by these rules of membership. I'd already been the secretary of the church and had to deal with a range of ministers and other churches who held contrary views to the Gospel Standard, and some were opposed to the so-called added articles. Stephen Royce reasoned that because I was a sent minister from a Gospel Standard church, then I would be the ideal person to assist in resolving his dilemma. The two articles in question were Article 26 and 32. He was informed that unless he could subscribe to these articles without hesitation or question, then the minister of the church would not put his name forward as a candidate for baptism and church membership. In order to obey the Lord, he requested just baptism rather than full membership, but this was refused without any scriptural reason why not. His response to the question, "What doth hinder me from being baptized?" was that his inability to agree to something he, in conscience, could not agree to, without adequate clarification and a definitive clear statement of truth regarding the matter, prevented him from being baptized. I trusted that my answer to him was of some help, and I have written about this matter in my book, The Bearton Crisis, written to help others. In the end, another minister baptized him, and he was not required to become a church member of that church. I really understood his difficulties, as I too had to deal with the same issues when our church at Bearton became a Gospel Standard cause. I knew how serious it was to adopt articles of religion and how it affected our conduct and practice in connection with other people. My experience with the many varied religious groups and opinions of the day served to ensure that I had an informed mind and conscience regarding articles of religion and practical conduct. This issue of the added articles I treat in my book, The Bearton Crisis, and also its associated video.